but obviously I need to figure out how to sort of insert them and work it out on the fly in this aircraft still. Still a little bit more learning to do in this thing. It's a bit more finicky than the Airbus. It's a bit more Boeing. Hello everybody, welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're on the ground here at Bournemouth International Airport. No, I'm only joking. But we are here at Bournemouth and we're in the Ryanair Boeing 737-800, the PMDG 737-800 as Golf Romeo Uniform Kilo Alpha. And today we're going to be doing some Ryanair UK ops as one of the charter flights that's come from my website. Thank you very much to Daniel Boddington for chartering this one today. We're going to be going from Bournemouth here in the south of the UK and we're going to be going up to East Midlands, EGNX. For some reason I can never get the name right for EGNX. Here is the plan. We're going on the north departure via SAM and then up through the UK. It's only a short flight today, block time's about an hour, but we have this really weird arrival approach conflict going on. So what I'm probably going to do is go direct from DTY to Pigot in the plane. I'm going to remove the waypoints from that point and then just go Pigot and then to DTY28 and we'll try and go in from there. We are on VATSIM today. We are connected to VATSIM. We just need to pre-file the flight plan and so on. We are connected to vPilot. But yeah, I've got scenery here at Bournemouth and it's looking like a lovely little airport. There's two runways, but I think one of them isn't in use anymore because it's got three Airbus A340-600s parked at the end of it. European cargo A340-600s, which do get flown around the world now. We've got the APU running. I've got a slight bit of the aircraft set up here already because I know it's the longest part of my videos. I want to try and dial a little bit of that out. So we've got the APU and everything running. We're literally coming straight to the FMC here to get this set up for today. So we're going to do our position in it and we're going to then go to the route. We'll get a flight plan request, which is there from SimBrief. Set payload and set fuel. We'll select the route and then we'll wait for the request to come in, shall we? The uplink is ready. There we go. Activate and execute. Beautiful. Then we go to the perf init and then we're going to just do a perf init request. Just going to check in terms of the fuel and flight level today. We're going to be going to flight level 170. I'm going to change that. We're going to go for 240 today. And then we are cost index 48, so quite a high cost index. And block fuel is just over 5 tons, so it's 5.1 on today's flight. Cost index 48, there it is. Let's go to cruise. It thinks 150. No, we're going to go to flight level 240 today. Then we'll have route again. What about the perf index? Unable cruise altitude. Okay, maybe 170 is actually exactly what we need. There we go. It's figured it out now. Okay, cool. So let's go to the init index. Go back to perf. Using reserve fuel? No. It says 11.2 down there. No, we don't want that. We need to go to FS Actions, Fuel, and then we will set the fuel to be... yeah, there's total... Oh, that's in pounds. Why is it in pounds, not kilos, all of a sudden, you cretin? Yeah, for some reason it's got that in pounds all of a sudden, and I don't like that at all. Can we change that in here? Yeah, weight unit, kilos. Excuse me. Why is it fuel quantity pounds on there? Right, let's try it in here. No, menu, PMDG setup, options... Displays. There we go. Metric or imperial units. Kilos. No, kilos. There we go. Yeah, then we've got fuel in kilos. Jesus, that was really strange. I've never seen that before. Anyway, it's absolutely fine. So, we've got that all set up. We've got the right amount of fuel in. There was an update to the aircraft recently, so I think that's why that did that. Let's just check what else. In terms of the FMC. Oh yeah, we need to get our V-speeds and stuff, don't we? So we need index takeoff. We're going to go flaps 10 for takeoff. Center of gravity, we're going to ask for. Trim is 3.33. I think that is wrong. We need to put the departures in. Right, this is the bit I always forget. So we're going to go north. Runway, we're going to be... What runway are we on today? We're on 08. I thought we were on 26. The arrival is going to be the DTY1 Echo arrival. No transition. ILS runway 27 via Pigot. Cool. So then... Oh, hello. It's disconnected me from... Failed to create United 1925. Oh, that's interesting. What on earth's happened there? I'll have to come back for that. Apparently insufficient fuel, which is a load of rubbish. Let's go into FS Actions, fuel, total kilos. Let's put 5100 in. Let's just put some more fuel in. Then we'll go back to the index takeoff, and then we get our V-speeds. And we'll try the center of gravity again. It still wants 3.33, so we're going to do that on here. It's a bit earlier than I normally do it. It's right in the minimum of takeoff trim, this. So it's a shame we're not going to be getting any ATC or anything from VATSIM today, because it's disconnected me because of the aircraft models. That's really odd. Now I can't obviously update that and change that while I'm here in the sim, and I don't want to really set everything up again, if I'm honest with you. Let's get our METAR, shall we? For the departure, QNH is 1028. That's this number down here, the green one, and then we're going to change it with this knob up here. So 1028 on the HPA. Sorry, it's not going to be on VATSIM, Daniel. Make sure that is all, yeah, that's ready. So we can get VNAV. Oh yeah, flight directors. VNAV. LNAV. Banging. Cool. Okay, we need to then get everybody boarded now. I forgot to start that process. We need to operate the stairs, get them to come over. Bournemouth ground handling. And then we should get, yep, some tasty, tasty stairs with the Bournemouth logo on. It's so creepy when they do that. But either way, we'll get the stairs attached to the aircraft and we'll get people boarding, shall we? Okay, another thing I didn't change before is going over to the APU gen. So we're just going to quickly change over to the APU gen, turn the ground power off. Then I need to make sure I've done that before I do this. Get rid of the wheel chocks, because previously I've changed, obviously I've had a few instances where I've forgotten to get rid of the wheel chocks, and I've done it early, but it's taken the ground power cart away from it as well when I've done that. So we need to then set the transponder, which I've got set down here. We need to go to 2000 today because we're just using the NATO code. Bit annoyed that we're not going to be on VATSIM, sorry about that. IAS max speed, so we need to go for our VR speed, so we need to go init ref, index, takeoff, V2 speed, sorry, not VR. So that's 145 today. And then we need to set the runway heading, I believe. Yeah, heading, takeoff, runway. So let's have a look at the runway charts, shall we? Well, the runway information. The bearing is just behind my fat head. Oh, excuse me. It is 075. So heading 075. Initial altitude set. We need to do the charts. So we need to go for the departure chart. There is no departure sort of limitations by the look of it. Okay, so we're going to be going straight up to cruise altitude at 17,000 feet. We'll go to 5,000 initially, you know. I'll get to 5,000 on the way out and then go up from there. Okay, up here. There's someone talking that isn't normally talking. I think it's an update that they've done to the aircraft behind us. I don't know if you can hear her or not, actually. I'm going to check on the recording software. I'm not sure if you can hear her. I've just turned all my volumes up, so at this point, editing Chaz should realise he has to go back and turn a lot of the other volume up before I did that then. I hope that makes sense. It's a GSX thing, actually, that they're talking behind me. There's a very overly well-spoken woman saying, hello, behind me. Landing altitude and flight altitude needs to be done, and then flight directors, which we've already done, actually. We need to set that to 17,000 feet. We're going to put landing altitude to 50, and then it's, yeah, VNAV, LNAV, minimums, altimeter ref, auto brake goes into RTO, comms and radios and doors, basically. So, other than that, we're done. We've just got to wait for boarding now.
Passengers bus is coming.
Okay, so everything's pretty much good to go now. Just got to wait for everyone to board, and then we'll be pushing back shortly. Again, I'm sorry about VATSIM. I really don't know what's happened here. So it just seems that there's an airliner model that isn't picked up in the sim. Not a clue what's happened there. It's kicked me out. It's a massive shame. But I'll have to figure that out for the next flight, I'm afraid, because they need to get this done today and get this cracking. So yeah, we're using real weather in real time. So right now here in the UK it is 11:09 AM. And we're going to be using the real weather. It's not particularly warm or windy, but it's just a bit cloudy and typically, well, British. 050 degrees at 2 knots today. And in terms of our taxi out, I need to make a plan as well, actually, because we're here at stand 6. We're on runway 08, so we're going out that way. So we go all the way round via Alpha and then on to 08 and up on the north departure. I don't quite know what that blue bit's all about. Oh. Never mind. The bus has gone. There's no passengers walking on the aircraft anymore. I hope they didn't trip over that. So we should get the bong any second now from GSX to say that the aircraft has been properly boarded. And then we can get ready for El Pushobaco. And there it is, just as I was doing my hair in the camera on the right. Okay, so we can prepare for pushback now then, so we can operate the stairs with GSX. Get rid of those, and then we head to the checklist. So we need to make sure the auto throttle is armed. I can do that on my controls here. I'm using the Airbus. There, can't get my words out today. Airbus Thrustmaster TCA Captain X-Pack controls as always, and then we need to do the rest of the fuel pumps. Those three. The elect hide pumps go on, anti-collision light, and then we have the parking brake set. That is all good. Ground equipment removed, and make sure the engine area is clear. Let's look outside. Other than those cones, it looks clear enough to me, but when we click prepare for pushback and departure, it will get rid of them. So we go up to GSX, prepare for pushback and departure. The secondary FMC asks for all of it, and then our ramp operative will pop up. Here she is.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Good, good. We've definitely got those chocks gone, haven't we? Yeah, chocks are gone. We need to just check our plan as well. If we go to the flight plan, let's make sure that we've got a clear flight ahead of us. We're going to get rid of some of these route steps. I think we go Velag, Pigot, and then DTY28. So we need to put DTY28 underneath Pigot. And then we need to put Pigot underneath... we just need to get rid of upduck. Says insufficient fuel. We've got 5.1. Okay, it's figured it out now. That's good. Says using reserve fuel. Why? We've got 5.1 tons on board. That's all we need. Block fuel is 5.1. She's asked us to remove the parking brakes. And there it goes. Okay. Oh. She asked me to do it again then. I did do it twice, to be fair. Are we pushing? Or did I put it back on? It's off on my controls, but you have to take it off twice. Oh. Well, this is going well. Sorry, Daniel. Okay, let's try that again. We've, for some reason, got this now. And this guy. But also, we've got some lovely cargo vehicles propped up on this fence.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hello, mate. I don't know where your colleague's gone, but it wasn't my fault. I've just thought of something. If we go back into the aircraft... No, there's no passengers on board in terms of, like, physically animated passengers. Sometimes that causes an issue.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Right, are my parking brakes off? Now the parking brakes are off. We need to also check this. DTY28. Yeah. Cool. It says no descent path after DTY28. That worries me. It knows exactly, though, where we're going. It knows the altitude, so don't know what it's on about. It doesn't know what it's on about either. So he's locking gear. And we can get ready for push for the second time. Aircraft is lifted. It'll now ask us which way we want to go. We want to go nose right, tail left.
Release parking brakes, please.
I have. Here we go. Right, we're actually pushing this time. Okay. So now then, to start the engines, we need to put the packs off. We need to put the APU bleed on. We need the engine start switches into ground. And then we should be able to start some engines. Engine number 2 coming on.
Please set parking brakes.
I don't know about you, everyone, but that doesn't look like nose right, tail left to me. We need to... What? You clown, what have you done? Well, let's get that second engine started, shall we? Oh, dearie me. Let's put some fuel in. Well, seeing as we're doing this offline... Oh, my God. We don't need to worry so much about backtracking down the runway, I guess. So I'm going to try and fit the plane through here. We're going to then turn the packs back to auto. We need to make sure that generators 1 and 2 are on the engines. Switch those over. That's good. Then we have probe heat on. Wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice. Yeah, packs auto. Isolation valve goes into auto. APU bleed off. APU off. Engine start switch is going to continuous. Then we set the flaps. Let's go to flaps 10. Elevator trim has been set for takeoff. And then we turn the lower DU off, which is off as well. Taxi light comes on. and we can get moving. Parking brake coming off. FMC is telling us to verify our takeoff speed, so we'll very quickly do that before we get moving. Okay, trim is 3.47, slightly different now, but that's all good. Let's get moving. Sorry about the slightly scruffy nature of this one so far, Daniel. There's been a few elements of this that have come up against me, but we'll get there. I hope it's been entertaining all the same. I was saying this to my friend Dan the other day. I may not be the best pilot in the world, and things may not always go right, but hopefully it just adds to the entertainment. So we're going to taxi around this cretin with the stairs, and close to this lot. And then we're going to backtrack down the runway, turn around at the end, and be out on 08. Taking the benefits here of the fact that it is an offline flight as of now. But I like this scenery for Bournemouth Airport. It feels like an old school, smaller airport here in the UK, as we have many of. It's quite a bumpy set of taxiways as well, which is cool, because it's all old concrete, so it's all shattered and lumpy. You can see those European cargo A340s off in the distance there. Let's get onto that runway, shall we? So we're going to be backtracking a long old way here. We probably could have gone left at Bravo down there, just this taxiway here, but that's fine. We'll get on here, backtrack all the way down, and then get going again. There's always something cool about lining up on a runway. I say it every time, but I just love it. I think it's the fact that you get to see so far into the distance, unobstructed. There's not many places in the world where you can see for that far without there being some sort of obstruction in your way. Okay, so while we're heading down here, we'll do our before takeoff checklist. We need to do the fuel flow reset and then rate. Then we need to do... oh, where's it gone? Oh, it's there. Centre fuel pumps as required, de-ice as required. Cabin lights, flight instruments, takeoff, yep, all that sort of stuff. We need to put the landing lights on. We need to put the runway turn-offs on. We then need the strobe lights and taxi light comes off. Strobe light and position go up to strobe. Come on. We're going to go left and then right. And then it's TFC and clock. Transponder needs to go to TA and RA. That we have done. Press TFC on there and then press clock. We've got flaps set. Aircraft is ready to go. Just need to make this tight turn here. And then we'll build up the throttle and get shifting, shall we? Not quite followed that yellow line, but it's alright, we're going to line up either way. Pretty much bang on the centre line anyway, aren't we? Okay, Ryanair 9 Charlie Delta departing Bournemouth. Build up to 50%. Sounds good. Up to Toga. Airspeed's alive. 80 knots. 100 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate of climb, so the gear is coming up. Following the flight director now. Great view out the window with all the trees and all the scenery. You can hear the trim wheel now starting to go for it. Nose coming down now. The auto throttle has taken over, so I've put the throttles back into climb on the Airbus detents anyway. We're going to be going left in a moment. Climbing really quickly through a little bit of cloud. Climbing a little bit more, a bit of a second sort of phase to the climb. And then putting the nose down. Trim wheel's going mad. The aircraft had popped out of LNAV and VNAV for some reason. I'm going to put the autopilot in now. I was going to say it wasn't speeding up, was it? And we're going to go flaps 1. And then any moment now, flaps up. A little bit premature before we got to that speed. But that's the departure done with. Let's have some beauty shots. Okay, so we're going to move now up to our cruising altitude of 17,000 feet. Not very high up at all today. We'll get over here, press that button, and get the aircraft to climb, shall we? So into standard pressure we go, and as we get near 10,000 feet we need to think about turning the landing lights and seatbelt signs off. We need to take the auto brake out of RTO. We need to put the engine start switches into off as opposed to continuous. Gear lever into the off position now rather than up. Runway turn off lights and all that gubbins can come off up there. Cabin lights as required, so it's just landing lights now when we get to 10,000 feet. Then very soon we'll be at cruise altitude. I try and do things properly. I follow a checklist. I write stuff down on my scratch pads and so on. But sometimes it's the software itself that can get in the way. Lovely shot here though, as we bank left. We're just getting up to our cruise altitude now. You can see VNAV path has just lit up and so has FMC speed. Cruising at 17,000 feet, so we still get a decent view of everything below us from here. And yeah, we continue on our merry way. It's been quite an entertaining one so far from where I'm sitting anyway. I'm just going to be filling out my scratch pad, which you can download in the YouTube description as well. And don't forget, you too can also charter flights via my website. I'm going to be making sure I do a little bit more to polish up on them and get GSX profiles and things. And for some reason, I don't know about the models and the V pilot stuff. That has really caught me off guard today. That's not really something I could have prepared for because I updated the models to my best knowledge just the other day. Anyway, I don't want to spend all my time apologising for these things because I know that some people still really do enjoy these videos despite mess-ups. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying it so far, Daniel and everybody watching. And yeah, we'll continue on cruising now at 17,000 feet. Realistically, we need to be looking at our approach details now, or our arrival details. So QNH is 1026. I'm going to write that down on here so we've got that for later. We need to look at the descent winds and a few other bits in here as well. I'm going to go back to the checklist for that just to make sure. We obviously need to think about landing lights, seatbelt signs, all that when we get below 10,000 feet. We need to then get the ATIS and airport information. Altimeter needs to be checked. We need to reset the MCP altitude and do the radios. FMC approach speed ref. Let's go to that, shall we? It wants us to reset the MCP altitude first. So we'll check the arrival for the ILS at East Mids. We're intercepting it at 2,000 feet. And what are the minimums? 482. So we're going to go down to over to the MCP, 2,000 feet, because we're just going to let the restrictions do the rest. Go to here. Init ref index approach 40 knots. Flaps 40. VNAV disconnect. Why are you descending now? Do we have to start a descent there? Wow, that's early. Okay. So we continue on the checklist. Localizer frequency and ILS course we need to get next. So we get that on here. The localizer is 10935 and the course is 268. So we need to do that on both sides. Should have gone the other way. 268. Come over here. I'll do this one. Other way. What was it? 10935. Yeah, 10935. So we come down here and we set this to 3510935. And that should be signified here. Yeah, 10935 268. And we are descending down towards East Mids. Quite a shallow descent at the moment. But yeah, I can't believe it. We're already at basically the halfway point, and obviously it takes longer to descend than it does to climb. Turn the panel brightness up on some of this just in case. I just like the added contrast. So we're having a left turn here at Silver. The next waypoint should be DTY, and it's just come up on there. 20 miles to DTY, so really not long flight at all. Once we get below 10,000 feet, we're going to then put the landing lights and passenger signs on. And what else we need to do? Auto brake is required. We're going to go for auto brakes too on this. Yeah, other than that, it's just landing lights and so on. Then our usual approach sort of procedures, really. So give you another beauty shot, and then when we get down to below 10,000, I'll turn the landing lights and seatbelt signs off. It's really shallowed out the descent now, as we are sort of easily matching the profile that we need to be on to get down to that level. Once we get ready and we have the flaps and everything down, it's just a case of checking the frequency and the course again, arm the approach, get the gear down, and then sort the flaps out. Speed brakes are armed. Auto brake is armed, speed brake's not armed yet. The aircraft is just slowing itself down to below 250 knots now. It's gradually creeping down. You can see that purple number and further down. Then it'll sort of match the descent with it once it's lost the speed. I've only been in the air for 17 minutes. It's really not a long flight at all. Got a slight headwind at the moment of 7 knots, but it's nothing that's going to affect us. Okay, there's 10,000 feet, so we'll go up top, put the landing lights on, and put the seatbelt signs back on now, so everyone must sit down. Turning to the right now at DTY, heading towards Velag. Quite an aggressive bank actually for such a corner. I've had a look at this aircraft, by the way, very recently, and it has the double winglets now. You would have seen from the previous shots that it only has one set of upward winglets on the PMDG, but actually let me show you on Volanta. You can see there, look, that it has the secondary set of winglets underneath that have been retrofitted to the Boeing 737-800 now, and obviously that's come in since the plane was made by PMDG, which I think is quite interesting. I find it interesting anyway, you might not. So here's the arrival then of how it looks on here. 8,000 feet is the restriction at Piggott, and we've got there very, very early. There's no speed restriction by the look of it. Let's check the other waypoints. Yeah, it seems like there's nothing really restriction-wise to worry about. Just a case of getting down to 2,000 feet for the arrival in the ILS. Love that bassy note from the CFMs rumbling away behind us. Turning left now, we're going to decelerate very, very soon. We've just made it to Velag, and now we're going to go to Piggott and begin the approach as such, the approach phase. Didn't need to really worry about any descent winds. It says no descent path after DTY28, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. That's obviously because we've sort of changed the approach itself, so we've changed the course that it's going on vertically as well as laterally. So I expect VNAV to maybe disappear. I just think it doesn't have a path after that to DTY33 because it's not the usual place where you'd be descending. We'll make it work. There's the engines really spooling down now. This is where the noise gets at its most beefy, so might head back into the cabin and just listen to this. God, you could see the moment the aircraft hit that waypoint then, couldn't you? It was like something had hit the front of the plane. It had a right wobble on. It's aiming at 220 knots at the moment to keep us up to speed before we come in. There's another decel area over there. I'm going to change the QNH down to 1026 so it's ready for when we go back out of standard. We'll be doing that pretty soon, I imagine. QNH is still 1026 down there on the ground at East Mids. Been in the air for 24 minutes. Should be in there about 45 minutes total, I think, so maybe a little bit more time to go. We've actually made really good time on the way up here. I seem to have descended very early though. I'm unsure as to why it descended straight away, but I think it's because I put it back into VNAV with an altitude of 200, so the aircraft's gone, oh, okay, and then got down to it. So I think we were early on top of descent, but that's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, I'd rather get down too early than too late. We'll see. So this next waypoint is DTY28. It's a steep descent after DTY28 because it's 7,000 feet or above. So at least it's got a path now as opposed to not having a descent path that it had earlier. I'm going to change this down to 10 miles now so we get a little bit more detail on that display. We need to set our minimums as well. Barrow minimums today were, what were they, 428 or 482? 482. We'll scroll to 482. out of standard pressure. And there are the baro minimums set. Just that green number there. We are descending steep, 2,000 feet a minute at the moment. But that's fine. We'll put a little bit of air brake in as well just to help it. Tiny bit of speed brake in. It does need it because we're below 10,000 feet and we're surpassing 250 knots. East Midlands should be just out there somewhere. We can't quite see it because of the cloud base at the moment. It's just off in that direction. Make a slight right turn now. We're getting down to 4,000 feet at DTY 36. Going to pick a stand as well at East Mids for when we get in. Ryanair tend to park along here. We'll go for stand 7, shall we? Quite like the idea of parking there on an angle. Oh, turns out I'd already written stand 7 down a while ago. Okay. Okay, we're turning on to the approach now. The aircraft is trying to slow us down. We've still got air brakes in. We're going to arm the approach as we turn on. There we go, it's captured it. Airfield is just out this way. Wow, it's very misty and foggy. To be fair, that's realistic because it is very, very foggy out there today. We're going to arm the speed brakes when we're done with them. The aircraft is trying to slow us down. Quite the... oh, hello. That was a lot all at once. Let's put them speed brakes back in, actually, because that was helping a lot to bring the aircraft down to the speed that we need. Okay, we're not far out now. Getting to 2,000 feet before we intercept the ILS. It's lined us up. We're going to bring those flaps down now. And we're also going to bring the gear down in just a sec. Everything else, I think, is pretty much good to go. We're going to put them air brakes in. Arm them. We're already down a notch of flaps and the aircraft is still trying to slow us down. What's our approach speed, ref? 142. And there is the runway in sight. We're coming in mighty hot. We're on the ILS though. We've captured it.
1,000.
We're coming in very, very hot here. Try to bring the flaps down further. Yep, we are going mighty quickly. A bit too quickly. We're going around.
Too low, terrain.
Yep, take the autopilot out, take the auto throttle out.
Too low, terrain.
Positive rate of climb,
low,
flaps
terrain.
coming up, gears coming up. Yep, you don't have to beep at me that much, mate, I know. Okay, so we'll get it in VNAV and LNAV, get it to follow the go-around procedure. Drew taught me this the other day, the fact that it goes into, when you get it into toga, obviously it sets off to then work the go-around. Now we need to get back on to the ILS. So we're going to fly this long straight path, go on for a big old turn, and then I'm going to check where it's going to put us back now, so let's just see. Where's it going to kick us to? Let's go into plan up here. Is it just going to try and get us back on the ILS? I think what we ought to do is take the reins a bit here and we'll just take the heading. I'll take basically heading select in the opposite direction. We'll make sure it turns right. We'll just do like a base leg basically. We'll just turn around on it and go back. But we shortened that approach to the point where, yeah, the aircraft was not able to get down quickly enough. So we're going to fly past the centre fix and past the ILS interception. We're going to go all this way and then we'll turn back and try and get on with it again, shall we? Okay, so it doesn't want to go to CF27 for some reason. Okay, I've been messing about a bit. I'm going to try and move it over to the right now. We're going to bring the flaps down and keep slowing the plane down because I've told it that I want speed. And it just keeps kicking off at me. Yes, I know. I'm going to bring the gear down because we're getting onto that glide slope now. Okay, it wasn't pretty, was it? But I've got it to capture it now. And we're going to finally go flaps full. And we're going to hopefully land this pigging thing at East Midlands. I've had my share of nightmares in this 737 so far. I'm going to take the auto throttle out, take the autopilot out. I need to point the nose down, it's trying to lift up so much. 3 white on the pappies. Hopefully we can get that. There we go. There's a second red. Back where we want to be. Still a little bit high.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, I know why the reverses haven't been coming out, so I get it now. I'll explain in a sec. Okay. Clear everything up. Get the speed brakes back off. And we'll exit here. Not my finest hour, admittedly. I think I need to do a little bit more... I don't know, I think I just need to take more care and not be so blasé. I think the problem with that was that the approach was messed with. So obviously, originally, it just wouldn't... Well, it wouldn't. And then, past that point, the go-around was a bit messy, and then I couldn't figure out how to get it back to where I wanted it to be. Anyway, we're on the ground, so we're going to do our checklist for things before we start taxiing. Obviously, we need to turn our landing lights off, runway turn-offs off. They're on, actually. Taxi light needs to come on. The engines come out of continuous. They should have been in continuous a little bit earlier on, actually. Let's just check everything. Check everything. Flaps have been retracted, transponder goes to off, speed brakes down, we've done that, landing lights off, strobe lights off, taxi lights on, so we just need to sort the strobe, taxi lights, cabin lights, yeah, we need to start the APU, so we need to make sure that comes on, probe heat goes off, engine start switches go to off, auto brake is off, and then we do the APU gen when we get going. We need to make sure that we get GSX ready for us at stand 7, which is where we want it to be. Let's go, yeah, Ryanair FR Blue. Parking brake off. I believe we're going to be going down, yeah, down here. So, thank you, Daniel, for chartering this flight. I apologise, it was a bit messy, much like my last one was. But I think I'd rather have done that in a way to try it than see what on earth it was going to do about the other approach. I need to figure out direct to in the 737. I know how to do that in the Airbus. If you want to just go to a waypoint, you click direct and then you just tell it where to. I need to figure out how to do that in the 73. I know how to bring waypoints forward, but obviously I need to figure out how to sort of insert them and work it out on the fly in this aircraft still. Still a little bit more learning to do in this thing. It's a bit more finicky than the Airbus. It's a bit more Boeing. Stand 6 is the first one we get to, and then stand 7 is the next one. A little bit lumpy here at East Mids. There you can see all the Ryanair FR Blue handling gubbins. So we'll turn the taxi light off so we don't blind them. Turn her in. Do we get the numbers? Yeah, there's the numbers. Okay, we're pretty tidy on that centre line. So it's just the other counter that I need to really focus on. Oh, I've not stopped. I've not stopped. I've officially not stopped. I'm still moving. I don't want to do it like this, though. I don't want you all to think I'm cheating. Oh, close. I held my breath then. Right, we've parked the aircraft up, so let's do our parking shutdown checklist. Parking brakes are set. Engine fuel control levers go on. Off, we need to make sure the APU is running. It is. Let's go over to the APU gens, and then let's take the fuel out of the engine, shall we? Head back into the cockpit and check the rest of the things. Passenger signs off, so they can all get up and start being cretins. APU bleed goes on. Anti-collision light comes off now that the engines have stopped. Fuel pumps are off except for that one. Hydraulic pumps come off. Window heat all comes off at the top as well. And then the isolation valve goes to open, and then we turn the flight directors off, and that will complete the flight. Well, again, not my prettiest, but still, I'm always learning in this 737, and what I learned there was nothing. But we're here now on the ground at East Midlands in the UK, and yeah, I actually enjoyed it, despite the fact it was a bit frustrating with certain bits not working here and there. I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've actually landed at East Midlands. Well, as part of a flight anyway. My friend Dan and I tend to do go-around practice here, which is funny, isn't it, considering how well that came in handy. We've done it in the Airbus, though, not in the 737. But still, thanks once again to Daniel Boddington for chartering this flight. You too can charter flights via my website. There's a link in the description for that. There's also a link for my scratch pad that I use when I'm on VATSIM. And yeah, I've not really got much else to say. I don't want to keep just defending myself and apologising. I still hope you're enjoying these videos either way, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the next one.